Alrighty. Hey, Anya.
Hey.
Hasn't been too long since we chatted, but it kind of feels like it.
No, the time passes so fast
I'm like,
nowadays.
ooh.
Yeah, it's a
Right,
strange
well,
little limbo zone in between.
yeah, it totally feels that way. Well, how has this last few days been?
It's been okay, to be honest. I feel, as we were just saying, like these past few, maybe, I don't know how to even summarize it because it's definitely fluctuates in and out. And like coming back from America, I was in my spirit a lot in America. I was integrating between the two. And then I came back and I was very grounded in my human. And then I guess I've kind of stayed quite grounded in my human and been really like focused on what's going on in my human life and organizing and planning and thinking about things and doing a lot of cleaning and like just a lot of human jobs. And I was just saying to you, Z, I don't feel like I do a lot of the spiritual stuff. But then I find myself having a chat with someone as I'm doing some drying and washing and, unloading
Yep,
the dishwasher, and I find myself going deep into the realms of the quantum healing and the levels of multiple aspects of self and unpicking addictions. And so yeah, in a sense maybe I am in the human, but maybe that's the way I work a bit more now. Maybe that's the way I do connect in terms of I feel very present. And we always talk about spiritual bypassing, and I think to myself, maybe in them years, not that I wasn't doing the work, because I was doing deep work in the astral realm, like deep work, but I was definitely avoiding doing it in my human because it felt too much to sit with. It was too depressing, too sad, too much grief, too much pain, too much anger. There was
for
so much emotion that I just feel like it was easier to deal with it in the astral realm, to block it out, you know, and I feel like I didn't do that all the time because I definitely did sit with some stuff, but
right.
I think in the overall, my ways, my coping mechanisms were to kind of fix it in the astral rather than just sitting with it in the human. And that's really shifted for me over the past year, months, and I guess I'm just learning how to do that more and more every day. Not saying I don't struggle, because I do, but I'm just finding my feet a little bit, riding that wave, as we said.
Yeah, right in the wave. This is what we talked about beforehand is what's the wave? What's the wave for you?
Mm. What's the wave for me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it literally feels like a wave. I were in the waves in America, this certain beach in Lakeworth Beach in Florida, and I'm not joking, I've never seen waves like it. Jesus H. They were like 10-foot waves. And and I'd try and get in the ocean and it was just whiplashing me back from the waves. Like the second I tried to get in, I was falling back. And as I was trying to get in, and I was kind of walking in, I realized you need to jump in the water, you need to jump into the wave for it
Uh-huh.
to not knock you out again. Because I literally was getting knocked out by these waves, like backwards. So I jumped in, and I say they were bad, but it flattened out, so it wasn't like turmoil. That beach just seems to have real high waves every time we went, every single time. And then I was swimming in the waves and I started to find my rhythm. Like when the wave would come in, I was going under it, inside it, and then I was finding a flow and like I was coming back up for air. And then there was a couple of times where I missed my rhythm and then I'd pop my head back up and get whiplashed again by a wave. And I thought this is a perfect example of what I literally say when I say riding the wave, because sometimes you struggle to even get in. Sometimes to even face it, it feels like, oh my God, I can't even do it. How am I going to do this? And then you have this random idea that seems crazy, but it works. And then you find a flow and you think, oh my God, I'm doing it. And then all of a sudden you come crashing down again and you're drowning again. And you're like, what the fuck happened? And that for me was a literal representation of what I go through in that emotional wave roller coaster. Like I can go through the highest highs and I kind of have to pinch myself when I receive the things that I've been searching for, and this is what I've been looking for, and I am so grateful. But yet I'm like, oh, why can't I shift this, stress and anxiety, and I'm like, this is part of the wave. You can't just get what you thought you wanted and then everything just go, oh yeah, it's really nice. Like you have to put in the work for it to
Right.
feel, specifically me talking about my house. I wanted a new house, wanted a spacious home. I got that, and then now it feels overwhelming because I haven't put everything in place. But that's just a choice for me to then take control, plan a little organization, make plans, make flow, create that space that I'm looking for to then create that long term effective peace. But to do that, I have to ride the waves of chaos and disorganization and dysfunction and all the different things that are overwhelming me at the moment on a human level, to find that level of peace. And then I'm sure there'll be something else that brings chaos. But for now, for now, let's just work on this wave. And that's the thing, we can't tackle the whole ocean. You can only deal with what's in front of you at that time, and you
Yeah.
can only kind of face what's in front of you at that time because you don't know what's coming.
No, no. So I'd say for myself, and thank you for that. That's beautiful. I'm like, I could not have said that better. That's fantastic. I'd have to say I've been in just the physical body really intensely over the last few weeks, really paying attention to it, like riding the waves. And for me, in my perspective, like this whole life is about waves. You know, how are we going to hit those waves when stuff starts shaking? There's programs within the body or things that you want to shift into. You're going to go through a series of waves to get yourself into the alignment phase, whatever that looks like. And for me, it's like, no, I've got to surrender because I know that I'm in a wave. I don't know what everything else looks like right now. The wave looks like 10 feet high. And I've certainly been in the ocean just like that, having to figure out, okay, well, how do I want to go into this wave? And I've also found the same thing. I'm just going to pump in there as soon as it gets to a certain point and shift out the other side. But even then, those waves are not exactly the same every single time. And you
No.
pop right up, another one whacks you over. And and in the midst of all that, in the waving, is how in my body then can I handle these waves? Like what do I want to do to regulate myself in the wave? Like where do I feel like I want the shift to be? And if so, I'm not gonna push so hard to get to that shift. I'm gonna observe it. Like this is where I want to go. What within myself do I need to do to get there? How do I need to surrender to that? And then what action steps do I need to do to kind of like get myself in that direction? And it could
Right.
take a length of time, to be like, okay, look, now I've wanted some things that I've got now for 10 years, and I'm finally hitting that. But it took me plenty of like, oh shit, to get to each part of those waves. So for any of you who's like experiencing like the waves, whether that's emotional or you have um people around you who are interacting that are a little bit like or whatever that might be, you're trying to create something in a business or something like that and you're feeling some intensity, sit with yourself. What do you do in those waves?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I guess that's the point of it, isn't it? Because like you were just saying, you've been searching to get this stuff for 10 years. Me too, in some ways. And then I guess when I thought I'd get it, I didn't think there'd still be fear. I didn't think there'd still be worry and anxiety and panic about it going away, about losing them things, about losing that stability, that safety, and what's it going to look like in the future, like that panic feeling. I thought when I received it that that feeling would go, but it hasn't yet, and I'm having to sit with that of, okay, why? Where's this coming from? And this is the point, like, yes, I should just be sat here in gratitude and bliss and love, but my body's still reacting in fear. And it's probably because it's never experienced something in this level be easy and smooth and
I
nice. And so my body's like looking on guard, waiting for the shoe to drop, like, okay, but and you gotta be careful not to manifest that too. Not be careful not to create that out of the fear and focus so much on the other shoe dropping that you actually create a fear-based scenario. And so, like you said, sitting with your body is the best thing you can do. So people find this method either great or not great. So it's up to you, do what you want to do with it. But I am an overthinker, an anxiety thinker, like someone that spirals in my mind. I don't like to affirm that. I used to be. I had them tendencies. However, when they pop back up, I sit with it and I go, all right, so what's the worst thing that could happen?
yeah.
Worst, worst case scenario. Let's roll with this thought. Let's go there. And then when I've played the whole thing out, I pop the scenario in my brain like in a bubble, pop it. Because I think, great, like there you go, you faced the fear. Like you were sat with the what if, the what if, what is the what if? What
Yeah.
actually is that? And is it actually as bad as the feeling of the what if? The concept of the what if? Is the what if actually that bad? And I think that's sometimes what we have to sit with, even in the worst case scenarios. You'd still be alive, you'd still be have health, you'd still have some form of instinct in self and connection to self and purpose of learning and all these things. I think that's what we have to remember sometimes. Like it really does take the smallest things to bring joy and to bring peace. And sometimes the looking for it is what takes us away from enjoying what we're actually in sometimes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I appreciate that perspective a lot. When I'm writing in those spaces, because essentially, just like you said, I feel like we don't have or we haven't had a good platform for what it's like to be in a peaceful state or to do things with a little more ease or to be moving through all these programs that we've had to dive deep into and then be like, then what? Right? Within the body. So what I do when I come up with fear, because it's gonna we have these bodies, right? I'm never gonna say like that's not gonna happen, we're gonna not be. I'm like, my body definitely runs through these little states where she's like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And then I have a billion trains open all at once, like generally, like 24/7. And I'm like, okay, so if we do, essentially it's gonna be like, I'm gonna die, or I'm gonna die alone, or something like that. And then my body's like, yeah, that's not bad. I know what's after that, you know? I've done that
Yeah.
before 2 times, so that's not so bad. We're gonna be okay. And then if it's like a scenario or a situation or something that feels wickedly overwhelming, what I do is I shrink it down and then put it in a little cartoon type of a movie and put the
Yeah.
characters in as cartoons.
That.
That way I'm not looking at like this massive mountain that I can't actually look at. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this in a little scenario, make it a little funny for myself. My body can be like, yeah, I could probably handle that. That does seem not as bad as I thought it was, and start to like repattern my body from there. But sometimes, like, if it's overwhelming, it's just overwhelming, and I have to be with that for a period of time. I got to surrender to it. Um, and I've noticed over the last little while that my surrender has been different. It's not, I've not been in the fix it, I've not been trying to do anything. It's like, no, this is up on the table right now. We're sitting with it. And it could be deep, could be for a few days. And it feels rough for a second because we're also looking at all these shifts and changes that are happening. And then once like I've done that, I'm not trying to push or do anything like that. Then my body's naturally like, okay, from this point, where can I take a step? Like the smallest step, right?
Yeah.
I'm not looking at the big picture of like where that's going to be, because otherwise I'll continue to get overwhelming. But I've noticed the surrender has just been different. It's been just present. I'm going to be just present, not try and
Yeah.
do anything, but just be present.
Yeah. No, totally get that. And like we were saying before, the present is the thing I think we've kind of missed out a little bit in the spiritual world. Maybe I'm just talking on behalf of my experience and others I've seen, but there is quite a focus to, oh, well, what's the past life saying? What's the multidimensional self? What's all
Right.
these different
Oh, yeah.
ways? And
Yeah.
again, nothing
Yeah.
wrong with looking at that. Truly do look at that. But also, like, how are you just feeling in your body right now? Like,
Yep.
I think it was hilarious. I seen this thing on Instagram, these like charts for children, like regulation charts and like all emotional chart. I made some of them for my sister when she was about 7 year old
Oh,
because
yeah.
she was so dysregulated in her little self and she didn't know how to communicate and express it. So I made like these mood charts and like level out of 10, da, 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 da. And I was like, I'm so glad that this is becoming just small things like that,
Sure.
basic emotional regulation skills. And people are recognizing shit. This we don't have these skills. We are having to learn them as adults and teach them to our children now. And people are recognizing the importance and the significance of having emotionally regulate children and adults and teenagers rather than emotionally immature, undeveloped adults. And that's no disrespect because a lot of us were also the same. Like I can speak on behalf of me. I was
No, me too.
100% a dysregulated adult. And and even now, when my children are screaming sometimes, the noise of it and the demand and the overwhelm, and because my inner child does not know how to go, it's okay, calm down, take a breath, you're okay, everyone's okay, let's just all take a minute and start breathing. Like my inner child knows to be quiet and shut it down and stop making a scene and stop being dramatic and stop being too much and da, 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 da. So then when these moments happen, all my program has taught me to shut that down, and I have to fight every single instinct in my body. And sometimes I don't win. Sometimes I go, oh, I can't deal with
Sure.
guys too much. I'll openly admit that I'm not a perfect parent, but in the moments where I'm a better choice parent and I'm more regular, I'm going, right, guys, we're all okay. Can we all just sit down, take a breath, and do some breathing because we all just need to regulate through this moment. Mum's not regulated, everyone's not regulated, and you know, it's just finding little small techniques and small little methods that we can use to kind of learn now and teach them earlier so that we're not all having to like ride the wave we're going to do, but riding the wave with an emotionally stunted nervous system or not a developed brain that knows how to handle these situations, that's what makes life so hard. It's not the waves. Waves are a part of the life. It's not having the skill set to be able to deal with the waves.
Absolutely. And I can certainly say I wish I had those when I was younger. Right? And that was like kind of widely taught thing. And I say for myself, you headed up into now, I've had to really backtrack into all these memories of where I was dysregulated because obviously they stay stored in the body. So something pops up and I'm like, okay, well, which tool do I want to use with this? How do I want to work that out now? Because if you have a strong tool set, and a lot of times, even for me now, they change. So I'm like, oh, that one's not working anymore. I'm gonna have to try something else, right? Those waves don't look so big. Then you're like, all right, I got a wave coming in. I'm gonna take a step into it and lean into it. And again, if you lean into it, you'll get out the other side, just depending on how you want to use your tools and how your body feels about it.
100%. And like you say, like we both said, there's no perfect doing that. What might look a better option to you might not be the better option to someone else, or whatever, vice versa. Like you just have to find. None of us are going to be this perfect balanced human, especially not. I
Absolutely.
always say, please don't compare, like, and give me that kind of advice if you are not dealing with the level of dysregulation that I deal with on a daily basis, because it is like literal screamed at you 24/7, like for multiple demands from two little humans and then animals and household jobs. And it's like when you push to that level of maximum dysregulation all the time, like there is only so much the nervous system can take, and then you add sleep deprivation on top. It's a great combination, and it's like there is, if you've not experienced it, it's really hard to even try and understand why people get to that zone, why people get so stressed, why people get overwhelmed to the point where they're going crazy. But it is an easy road to slip down if you go from dysregulated state. I know, great example is when my kids had, I mean, I love my kids talking like this moment, it sounds like a bit of a distant, but we all have and when they have hard days, like we all do, and it's been a really hard day, and then I've fallen asleep putting them to bed, and I've not had an hour, sometimes only half an hour, but just that time, 20 minutes, half an hour, to drink a cup of tea, to watch a bit of television, or to read my book, or to go on my iPad, or to do whatever it is I, as my human, would like to do that day, because all day I have not been able to do that at all. And so in that time, is my time to recuperate myself and my energy, my body. Do I want to get a bath? Do I want to listen to music? Do I want to use the time I'm doing jobs? But how can I make that more enjoyable for me? The odd time I might have a glass of wine if I fancy it. And it's about being able to choose to do things that I enjoy, that I want to do, because I want to regulate my nervous system in my own way. And when I don't have that, and I wake up in the morning and I've not had that time, I wake up dysregulated. I'm already waking up in this is too much for me because I didn't have the time in my conscious mind the night before to process that, to let that go, and to start again afresh. And so I've gone to sleep dysregulated and I wake up dysregulated. And I specifically, luckily, I have a partner, so usually if he's here, I will go get a bath and I'll take that time to just let everything go from the night before, from that day, that morning, and try and change the frequency. But it's incredibly hard, especially when I'm on my own, to do that because it's like I'm already touched out and I start the day like that, and then I've got to do the whole day in that frequency. And God, it is really challenging to like pull these skill sets that you feel like you've used every single one in the belt.
Right,
And
right.
what can I do now? And that's why for me, water, the bath, or being outside in nature, they are like they very rarely fail me. They very rarely fail me. So like they're my go-tos. If everything else that I've tried is not working, I get in the bath or I go sit outside.
Yeah,
That's usually-
that's generally mine too. Bath would
Yeah,
be my first option
yeah,
if I
me
was
too.
right by the mountains.
Yeah,
If I'm right by the mountains, I'll go right into the mountains.
yeah,
And obviously it changes as we're all changing every single day, how we work with our bodies, our frequency, our energy. And so, I always say to sit down and create your own blueprint for how you want to work with your nervous system. And that's why I co-created the program I did, for
yeah.
self-led body, so that you can get your own body regulation tools that you create yourself and lead yourself in that space,
I
knowing
think I
that
need
it's
to
going
do
to
your
expand.
course. I think I
What?
need to do your course, Z. Sounds great.
Super immersive. That way it's body led first, you know? Um,
No, I was just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just thinking,
I'm like,
I could really do with doing that course. See, that sounds really good. Like, that's the thing, we all have skill sets we're great at, and one of yours massively is you've spent a lot of time focusing on the nervous system. And for me, I've spent more time up in the astral realm. Like, I'm not saying you haven't. I mean, I had spent time with the nervous system. I didn't really sit with that for a long time. This is more the past year and a half, 2 year thing, and so this is
yeah,
more new for me in my spiritual world compared. I went to spirituality at 17. I've been in that world for a while, but I did not look at this stuff till more recent years, and so I am very fascinated at learning. And you do bring great wisdom, so I do think anybody that is interested in doing that work and doing them courses, definitely hit Z up, and she'll be bringing some of that magic to our retreat next year because that's all about the nervous system as well, and embodying that. And so I'm really excited to do some work with you on that next year as well.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. And honestly, through everything I've learned, even when I started this, because I was always outside doing my work or
Yep.
spiritual work, if you want to call it that. So I always kind of had a hit on my nervous system and what it was doing, but also knew that it was highly dysregulated. Like, like don't get
Yeah,
me
yeah, that was me. That was me. Out in nature all the time, grounding like you go, all the
wrong.
time barefoot, laid on the ground, but still living in massive panic. And that's the thing, like still living in genuine fear and anxiety. And that was, I felt like a bit of an imposter.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, totally. That comes. All those things came up for me, and then I was like, "Well, how am I going to embody this?" Well, even now, the word spiritual doesn't like resonate with me as much. I'm looking at
No,
focus my
it
soul
feels a bit
language.
cheesy. It's like,
I'm like, doesn't feel good.
no. And it's bad to say that because I suppose out of anything, that's the only word I do identify with out of all of it. But I just think it's
True.
become
Me too.
like even today, yeah, I'm in my little Christmas gear, and I know a lot of people in the spiritual world that are like, "Oh my God, why are you wearing Christmas gear?" And because it's like, I understand. I come on now, I get it. I get the concept of the energy harvesting, the commercialism. Blah, blah, blah. I'm fully
Yeah.
aware of all that. It's the same as Halloween. It's the same as all the other
Right.
events of the
Right.
year. But my human enjoys fun. My human enjoys
Exactly.
music and putting sparkly things on trees and watching my kids go Christmas tree and excited about little elves and wrapping little presents up. And yeah, I love it. I love all of it. I love the music. I love the community vibe. And I think that's the point. Like, it doesn't have to be what it's made to be. You can choose, just like you can on any event of the year, anything you do, you can choose what is your intention based. So, as much as some of the things I am aware might not have positive origins, but very rarely a lot of the things in the world do. So, I think it's about, do you know what I mean? So, I think it's about choosing your own frequency and going, that's my intention. This is my energy towards it. So, me and my little Christmas energy
I love
today.
it.
Being
I'm
a
gonna
Christmas.
get a nice puffy a Grinch shirt that I was
Oh,
looking at.
I've got that. We've all got matching ones. Phoenix got one, I've got one, Brad's got one, the dogs have got one, we've all got one.
I was like, I need to do that.
You
Uh,
do.
as always, we say these are all perspectives. Mine's mine, hers is hers, and we're always encouraging you guys to go figure out what's right for you, how to
Mhm.
lead yourself, and what feels right to you, and what you want to work with. And I'm excited actually to like continue now. More is like before when it felt a little bit deeper. I was like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna get to this point. Now I'm like a little bit more excited to like discover more of my embodied self and how that resonates with my soul and that language.
Right, right, right. And do you know what it is? After for the first time, I think it's hard to explain. Like I feel like when I was living my spirituality life, like I'm not living it now, I am. But the point is, when I was thinking, trying to, I feel like I couldn't do this thing like dress up for Christmas as silly as it is because it felt like not spiritual. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Yep.
like now, I'm like, I really don't care. Like I know who I am. I know
Yep.
who I am,
Yep.
what I bring to the spiritual world. I know who I am, and I don't need to meet a box or fit in a box to
Totally.
tick that. Like I can be whoever I am, and I guess that's allowed me to be more cheesy, to be more mainstream, which was me. It was like I was fighting that, is that I cannot be anything associated with the mainstream because I am against the mainstream. And now it's like, come on, like you pick
Yeah,
your battle wisely. I don't conform to
totally.
90% of it, on the deeper level. My kids don't go to school. I have home births. They've never been to a doctor's appointment. Like we don't do majority of the things in life, but the playful things, the things that have joy, I like to connect with them. And again, that can be any of the things. And I think it's just about that for me, I wasn't doing that because I was trying to be spiritual. And now I'm doing it not because I'm trying to fit in the human world, because I actually want to do it as a human and I find it fun. And I guess I'm enjoying them
Yeah,
combination of energies and enjoying allowing them both to exist and not being afraid to own that and to be like, yeah, I'm having a whole Christmas energy because that's what I want to do. And that's the vibe that I'm bringing in and that's authentic to my current energy.
sure. And
Yeah.
that I feel like is just the biggest part of the journey because I certainly did that too. Went the spiritual route. I was like, ah, well, definitely didn't feel good to me later on. And now you better believe I'm gonna be dressing up actually whenever I want to. I definitely do for Halloween, but
I do. I love Halloween, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's all this bad juju," and I'm like, "Listen, it's only bad juju if you let it be bad juju."
So,
It's one of the best nights of the year for connecting with the spirit world and with your higher self. It's the veil is the thinnest. Like I love doing ceremonial nights on Halloween with the intention to connect to own it higher heart energy. Like, come on. It's like rule book 101. It's all about intention. I always used to do Halloween parties on Halloween and get dressed up. I just found it so fun.
yeah, yeah, I still do that.
Yeah, I just hadn't lately with the kids, and we was in America and stuff. But I actually think I will next year with Phoenix. I think I'll do a whole big Halloween party. But that's the thing. This is so much more human than what we'd ever talk about. But this is the point. I think
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like I kind of missed out on being a human a little bit because I was so much in the human realms, and it's not a bad thing because I needed to be at that time. But now I've kind of realized you can do both. You can
yeah,
know all this, live all this, do all this work and energy and think all these things and do all these things like I do. I'm still thinking the most weirdest stuff as I'm doing the most normal jobs in life. But then I realized they can coexist in harmony rather than with resistance. Like, because I still had to do them before. I just
yeah,
didn't want to and I was fighting it like I shouldn't be. Whereas now it's like it's a joy, it's a welcoming. I don't mind being a human as well as living my existence, you know?
yeah. I like that. And for me, like I would say that's embodiment for me. I'm
Mm.
living that facet. I still know it's there. If the energetic piece or my soul piece, I still work with that every single day. But I'm also doing my activities in my human reality, just really enjoying that, not as a separate piece, but as a cohesive kind of an art
Yeah,
piece every single day.
exactly
It's
an
new,
art piece.
it's different sometimes, and I like to go back and I like to actually get stuff cleaned up, and I like to do these things that like
Mm.
that gives me the human essence, and I like to celebrate all kinds of different things, and that definitely was not the case before. I was just too deep in my work, right?
The thing. Yeah, it's like Scrooge. I was watching Scrooge with Phoenix as a new character today, and he's just so obsessed with work that he missed this beautiful life around him and this family he could have had and all that. And I thought, geez, that's so true though. Even on a spiritual level, like you can't be so bypassed with living up here that you forget that we're here to live. We're here to actually live in the
Yeah.
body too. And yeah, truly deeply, I feel like we're all going through a bit of a purge. Well, around me, there's like a stomach flu. There's like a
So,
stomach bug and a flu going around at the same
yeah.
time. There's a lot of detoxing in the body. I think that's a lot of heavy metals that are coming out, and I do get that it's a bit of like the stomach's regenerating or whatever, like, building new cells because we had such toxic food for so long. I feel like the stomach tissue is like realigning itself a little bit. Now it's interesting. I feel like those that have spent a lot of time working with the solar plexus will find like this little stomach bug less like imposing, but those that have yet to kind of open up the solar plexus as much, it might be a little bit more painful and a bit more vomiting. And now I know that sounds strange, but from what I've observed around me, those that have had more problems or issues with the solar plexus that they've had to work through have only experienced more like the flu and the chesty thing, whereas those that have yet opened the solar plexus have had to have like sickness and the flu. So yeah, I don't know because obviously the flu is the breathing, your heart chakra in your lungs, and grief, and then you've got all your facial activation area and detoxing of the toxins. But definitely feel like this is a upgrading thing because it's going on kind of worldwide right now. So just guess it's a little bit of a thing I thought we should
Got
mention.
it. I've been moving through
Ride,
that phase.
riding another wave.
Yep, letting go of a lot of stuff and then integrating some things. So I would co-align with that. It feels good though. Like it's been,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't think it's bad.
yeah, it feels really good. I've had more clarity out the other side of it. So
Yeah, yeah, definitely more clarity. And you know, I'm all for not getting involved in people's business and not like let people do what they do, as long as they're not hurting anyone, fine. But I guess lately I've been really cold when people are kind of posing their need for reflection and, you know, I don't want to say like out of line because that is not my choice to decide. But when I feel like they are missing information or there's kind of context, there's a bigger picture than can be explained from what they're seeing in their perspective, and I know I can illuminate to a bigger picture that can create more harmony rather than chaos.
right.
I felt the need to get involved lately and just say, hang on, have you thought about it in this perspective? Have you thought about this, and this, and potentially what's going on in their perspective, and how your energy can sometimes stop people connecting in with that. And again, I had a different friend where I had to reflect that maybe it's not about the surface level thing, maybe it's about the persona, maybe it's about the shadows, maybe it's about the ego that's actually creating the surface level things like habitual behaviors and addictions and all these things that come from the pain underneath. And addiction is not just there because it's there. It's there because it's rooted deep down in the trauma, deep down in the patterns and the programs, and that needs layers through work. But I guess the point is, I've had to kind of give people true reflections lately that may seem a little bit harsh, a little bit like, ooh, that was a bit much. But sometimes honesty is the way that people break through. If you fluff it up and put a little ribbon on top, sometimes it doesn't deliver the message in the way that it needs to be delivered for them to actually receive the information of actually, maybe I do need to look at that. Maybe I need to reflect on that and how I chose to act in that situation and how I'm choosing to show up as who I am. And then reflections can be the choice between people making better choices in life or not. And sometimes being the honest reflector allows them to make better choices earlier
Or
or at all.
so
Yeah.
calling it out, and of course they say calling out and calling it out in self too.
Always, always. I'm the first mofo to do that. I look in the mirror like, you really shouldn't have done that. Like, why did you make that choice? Like, come on. Could have been far better options at play, but you had to choose that one,
Yeah, I
Just
definitely
like
do
looking in,
that.
literally looking in the mirror though. I have to do it sometimes, looking in the mirror, like facing my own eyeballs. Like,
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, like look at your own truth in your own eyeballs. That helps sometimes because it helps you into again reflect into self. Truly, take the message.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I did that this morning actually.
Yesterday,
Like, all right, see what I
I've
got
actually
going
been
on there.
this. That's so funny. I love that, Z. I love that. No, but do you know what? You always bring a space and platform for just like safety. I know that if anything I'm going to say and talk about, it's not going to be met with hostility or, rejection or what's the other word? Conflict. It's really calm, peaceful, and open. And that's a really beautiful place to work with. And again, that's why I said it'd be great if you need nervous system work. I think Zia would be perfect for that because that's what kind of energy you need when we're doing this work. Whereas when I do the work, we go deep into the subconscious brain. I like to go back. And I guess again, a big part of it for me is safety when I'm working.
Yeah,
I know that no one will go in a meditation if they're not safe, and I have many people that come to me that say they can't meditate, and I'm like, let's try this. And as soon as you get the energy safe, the inner child feeling
that's
safe,
it. That's it. Yep.
it's usually the issue.
Yeah, I would say that's the number one facet for even diving deeper or kind of getting into alignment or doing the things that you want to do is how safe are you in the space?
Right,
How safe
right,
can you be
truly.
yourself? You know,
Yeah.
yeah, that hits home hard. Safety, everybody.
No, it is, because I know that for me, that's why I struggled to meditate or why I struggled in certain environments with certain people, and I had to kind of dig a little bit to see. if I do not feel safe, if I don't feel protective, if I feel my body is vulnerable, if I feel my energy is vulnerable or anything, I cannot physically meditate. Like I've had times where I literally woke up trying to go down into a meditation and woke up projectile vomiting and had to run to the toilet because my body was rejecting the environment and the person leading the meditation. Turns out it was a bit dodgy later on, and I always had a thing with going under with men hypnotizing. So again, no offense to men, I think my body just had issues that it needed to work through in my own subconscious that whenever it was a man leading, my body won't meditate. So again, I had to sit with them things and question why. And again, safety was key. So if you are someone that has struggles, different environments, different things, maybe it's worth questioning what makes you feel safe inside and how you can create more of a physical and spiritual safe environment for you to journey.
And I always say with that, like also giving your body permission to
Mm.
not be somewhere if you need to be there or with somebody. That's come up plenty of times with me. Even the masculine piece for me and
Yeah.
my trauma, where I had to really sit with that. And I had plenty of mirrors of men coming in, and what I did, especially with my close friends, is I had them sit with me for long periods of time and have me look at them,
Yeah, good
so
idea actually.
I could move through it. But it took me a long time, and even still within my body. Uh, she tells me real fast now if it's safe and it's not safe, and I'm going to trust her. If it's
Yeah.
not safe, I'm going to move to a different location. If it's not safe because of like, or might pick up something like it's not, it doesn't feel safe because this and this is what happened in this memory, and I'm like, okay, well, can we regulate through that? And
Yeah.
if like, yeah, I can, I have the tools to do that. That's great. If it is literally like a no, like absolutely better be getting out of there. I don't have capacity
Yeah,
for
I
it.
love that though. I love that, and I loved what you said about help using your male friends to help. Sit with that. I've never thought about that concept. That's a really great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it took me a while to get to that point, but then I was like, you know what, I need to face what's really bugging me with this whole situation. So I went out, went to the mountains, did journeys with them, did fires with them, uh, where they just really brought out all this stuff, and I was like, oh.
No, that's so cool though. I feel like that's the bridge to healing the masculine and feminine because man, there's been such a war for so long, and not even consciously. Like we have brothers, sisters, partners, dads, mums. We're all connected in the ways we love each other so deeply, and yet there is such a war, such a conflict, such a battle inside, such comments and animosity and just energy and oh, and it's so dark and sticky and God, we're still working through that so deep, we're so deep. And I think we'll be working through that for a little while, especially with the inversion of masculine and feminine going on and the whole everything. There's not saying that it's a bad thing. I just think the concept of what that is was attacked. You know, that was
Yeah.
definitely attacked on a big level. So yeah, that is a bad thing in that concept, if you know what I mean. Just the whole fact of being attacked in self and what it means. I think I was definitely programmed in what it means to be a woman and going against that, and then being a feminist, and then struggling to know actually what is a woman and what does that feel like to me rather than the world. And that was a big thing. But yeah, like you say, fantastic advice there, and I'm still working through that one. So I think maybe that's one worth sitting with as a woman, as a man. What are the energies there going on to the reflection of, to the opposite, to the feminine, to the masculine? How does that feel when you sit with it? Not literally, 'cause I'm not asking you to trigger if it's an issue, but picture it emotionally. How does that feel in your body? Does it feel safe or does it feel fear-based? And maybe that is something that we can work through letting go if it is time to do that.
Right, right, right. And again, for everybody, this is your choice if you want to dive into that. I definitely had to sit with it
Give
for
it
a
some
long time.
time. Yeah.
Work backwards with my nervous system to see because I can also think like energetically and spiritually again that I've balanced myself out and I'm doing really well and my body's saying the exact opposite thing. It's like
Right,
absolutely
right.
not. You haven't done right?
That's literally me. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing so much better. I'm feeling great. And then my body starts purging out in like ulcers and like
Yep, yep. And
stomach
then
condition. I'm like, oh, maybe not.
not quite there yet. That's why I say what is like the basis around the work that I'm doing is we're going to take it backwards and we're going to take every single step with the body to see exactly, what we are bringing into our existence, what we're not, what we're pushing away, what's dysregulated, because we could want the things, we could want to manifest, but our bodies might be like, absolutely not. I don't have capacity for
Right,
it.
right. And that's the thing. You have to go to the roots. If you,
Yeah.
it's like I always say, what would be the point? if you were doing your garden and just cutting off the top of the weed's just going to grow back in the next
Back in a
two.
week.
So yeah, a week. So the best thing you can do is find the root of said weed and pull it out, and make sure that that weed does not grow back. Sometimes you might have little residue bits, and then you find it growing back over there like a few months later.
Totally.
Sneaky little thing, and then you cut it back down again and really find the root and cut it out this time. And that's the point. Like we have to go deep, and that's why, like Z says, whatever method you use to do that, going backwards, going deep, going down the
Yep.
layers of the onion, however you want to see it, the point is facing the inner tangible works of that root.
Yep. Yep.
Yes, I think that's my gardening energy that takes me to the plants. I'm like, I love my garden, I love my nature, so I always see it in analogy of plants or onions, layers of onions. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Leaving you all with
Layers.
onions.
There's plenty.
Yeah, I think that's the point. It's like all the layers, and the deeper down you get, the more kind of crying you're going to be doing, but you're kind of used to it by that point, so you just deal with it.
Yep. Yep. You're like, next one. Well, all right. Yeah, I'm going to say just kind of doing a little bit of overview. We really wanted to bring in how do you work with waves? How do you create safety within your own body to work with the waves? How do you regulate? What does that look like to you? What tools do you use? And the more that you have your own tools in your own system and learning what that is and what it needs, I'm not gonna say easier right now. I'm gonna say
No,
I'll
I
like
think more accessible. It's
there you go.
like,
More accessible is yeah,
yeah,
I like that. Yep.
yeah.
Where you'll be able to go, hey, there's a wave. I'm capable of working with this wave. Yeah.
It's familiar in a way. You're like, right, I've done this before. I know it's going to be hard, but I know I can do it.
Yep. Totally. All right. Anything else you want to say?
Awesome. No, that feels really good. I'm excited. Please, again, guys, comment if you have any topics, any questions, anything you want us to dive into, any of the current energies. Please let us know because we like to have interesting conversations and
I
we
like to interact with
appreciate
you
your feedback. Yeah, yeah.
guys.
So let
And
us know.
yeah, for sure. And if you have any other perspectives and things like that, I just love how everybody is unique. And, if we could jump off of that, we will too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much, darling, and you have a lovely day.
You as well. Bye, everybody. Love you lots.